Hi everyone. I'm the director for our New Zealand registered not-for-profit Common Knowledge Trust. And today I read an article in an online magazine by a well-known person, and I found myself very antsy as I read the article. She had been vaccinated, she has a family, and they went away for the weekend, and one of her children got sick, and her partner got sick, and the two of them tested positive for COVID, and then she got sick, but she had already had 2 doses of one of the vaccines. And why did I feel antsy? And why did I decide that I wanted to speak up today and reach out to all of you? What I realized is that how she got sick, or how her partner and child got sick, if we hadn't put the name COVID on it, you would have gotten sick and you would have gotten better. But when I started doing the research in January and February of 2020, I realized that there was this huge gap between what governments globally and health departments globally were saying to us. They were telling us how to avoid catching it and to do that at all cost, and that has to do with this massive shutdown of the global economy. And they also were saying, if you get sick, go home, don't overwhelm your health system, isolate. So nobody was given, any of us, any idea of how to self-help if we felt ill. And that just drove me around the bend in January and February of last year. And so when I got sick in March, I wrote what's on the screen now. This is the self-help of if you're not feeling well. I wasn't certain I had COVID. I was living in a country where there was no testing at that point. And um, I recognized after a few days that I did, and I started to do something for myself. Now, why did I start doing something for myself? I knew I couldn't cure this. I knew I couldn't eliminate it. But because I'm the director and founder of a trust called Common Knowledge, I looked towards what all of us globally around the world do in certain circumstances. It's just common knowledge. So if we get a really bad cut, we all keep it clean. We keep it clean not because we're curing the cut, not because we're eliminating the cut, but we're helping our body not get sicker. And I took the same philosophy or premise. If I could help my body, I wasn't going to eliminate it. I wasn't going to cure it. There's no magic cures here. I was just going to help my body. And I persisted. I marked on a calendar when I was ill, and I just followed every symptom, every episode of every symptom, and I tried to reduce the intensity of the symptoms. I tried to shorten the length of time they lasted, and over time I began to increase the space between them. It still took me 20-something days. I still got quite sick. I didn't take myself to the hospital, which was an hour away, and it was really scary. Since then, I've had a lot of symptoms. Who knows? I'm old. Are they related to COVID? Are they post-COVID? Are they just arriving from outer space? Who knows? That's a joke, by the way. And I just have followed the same premise. And this is what I'm trying to inspire all of you to do. When my nose feels stuffy and I'm doing things like that, I clean out my nose with warm salt water. I don't do it this way. I lean this way or that way and let the water drip out this side. I have what's called a neti pot, N-E-T-I, but you don't need a neti pot. You can use a baby syringe for it. You can just use a small glass with warm salt water, if preferable, not salt with iodine. I use pink Himalayan salt. You can get that pretty much anywhere. And I clean out my nose if I'm stuffy like that 3 to 5 times a day. Why? I'm not curing anything. I'm not eliminating anything. Maybe I'm reducing a bacterial or viral load, but I'm helping my body. And since I live in my body, since my mind lives in my body, since my emotions live in my body, since all of me is me, I want to help me. If I get a slightly sore throat, I gargle with warm salt water 3 to 5 times a day. I'm constantly drinking oral rehydration that I make up myself. And we've discussed this a bit more in the forums. Some people are drinking Gatorade. I have an issue with plastics, by the way, so it'd be right out front. I just think you should make it up yourself. And I don't know what's in Gatorade. I don't know if you're drinking colors, which some people are sensitive to. So you just make up slightly salt, slightly sweet, anything but artificial sweeteners. And you can dilute coconut water or dilute some juices, and all of us can get 100% juices, or some people are making them at home. Dilute them so you're mostly drinking slightly salt, slightly sweet water. I happen to make herbal teas and do that, not black teas or coffee. I do that. If my skin feels sticky, I go in and take a shower, even if I took one earlier in the day. I do that. Why do I do that? I do that because I want to reduce the intensity of the symptoms in an episode. I want to decrease the length of the episode and the symptoms. And I want to grow more space in between, which is where I'm feeling better. And when I read that article, and the fact that this woman, her partner, her children, who are obviously teens probably, they did nothing for themselves. Some people would probably take some sort of an over the counter, or maybe they'd rush to the doctor with hope they can get something, missing all the time what we can do for ourselves. And that's what's making me antsy today. We have a virus that's going around. It's scary. It is going to have intense experiences for some people. I have a friend right now who has been on intubated and ventilation for 6 weeks. Do I think that this person is going to survive? Don't know, honestly, to be frank with you. When this person got sick, they did absolutely nothing for themselves. Like so many others, we just wait. We sort of are following the health departments globally and the governments globally that says, go home, do nothing. Don't overwhelm the health system. So this person that I know didn't go in soon enough, wanted to stay home, and by the time they went in, they were in critical care. Could doing something for yourself have prevented that? We don't know. Nobody's looking at it. Nobody's researching this. Nobody's advocating for it. We don't know. So what does that leave me, and where does that leave you? If we don't know, we have two choices, or three really. Hope that the medical profession does something, do nothing, or take care of ourselves. I am a firm believer that if I can, I'm going to take care of myself. And when I can't, I'm going to use other forms of health care. I am a firm believer that you should take care of yourself. And when you can't, then use other forms of health care. However, if you're not taking care of yourself, I believe, in my experience, that we put ourselves at higher risk. This is true about lots of things. Whether it's exercise, diet, reducing stress, those lead to lots of chronic diseases that many of us are experiencing because we didn't take care of ourselves. Do you have to have a radical change to take care of yourself? Some people do, but most of us don't. Most of us do these things that fit in our lives. If you have a stuffed nose, how long does it take you to make up some slightly warm, salty water, not iodized if possible, and do this? And clear your nose. Do this. And clear your nose. How long did that take me? 30 seconds? How long does it take me to make a liter or a quart of slightly salt, slightly sweet water with dilute coconut water or dilute juice in there? Do this and then drink 15 to 20 swallows. How long did that just take me? How long does it take me to mix up some warm, salty water and gargle 3 to 5 times a day? How long does that take me? How long does it take me to get into a shower and wash my sticky body off? How long does it take me, if I feel oppressed breathing, for me to do some of the exercises that are on the second pages? How long does it take me? Where don't you have time? And this is really, really what made me antsy reading this article. This well-known, famous person and her partner and child are just like you. The majority of you, from what I read, are not really taking care of yourself. You're hoping, you feel that the medical profession isn't listening, they're putting you on medications that reduce stress. And there's a reason for that. This virus is new. It is coming into our body, and our immune system does not know how to respond to it. So therefore, it responds wildly, chaotically, and it doesn't know how to shut down. So many of you, I could bet my bottom dollar on it, came into this virus with a very active, overly reactive immune system called your sympathetic nervous system. You were busy, you multitasked, you liked things the way they were, you know, you just had a lot of energy. You were living a modern life, a lot of social media, moving from this to that, to this to that, to this to that. You were constantly on the move, stressed. That's the sympathetic nervous system, the fright, flight, fight, freeze. Over breathing, mouth breathing, chest breathing. You weren't paying attention. If you got sick, you waited a few days. Then if you felt sick, you went to the doctor and they gave you something. You often went to work when you were sick. You were stressed, stressed, stressed. And then you got COVID. And your immune system went into hyperdrive. And you are now at the level of stress that's making you feel crazy. You go to a therapist and they say it's all in your head. So they give you antidepressants. If you're having heart palpitations, you go to a cardiologist, they put you on beta blockers. All those things are trying to reduce your adrenaline stress of the sympathetic nervous system. So taking care of yourself with things like that are on the screen and other things, millions of them that I've been talking about, whether it's learning to nose breathe, diaphragmatic breathing, learning to do box breathing, that's on another video, the challenges, the informal research I've suggested that some of us participate in, the acid reflux, the natrum sulf, natrum phos, tissue salt, NAT, N-A-T, new word P-H-O-S. Did that work to stop the gastric reflux? The suggestions of the first 2 pages of this 4-page series, listening to brainwave music, listening to happy music, smiling, gratitude, all these things that stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system. I don't see a lot of people putting in place. Some people will comment on posts that I make, say I'm doing those things. And yet underneath all of that is, why isn't this getting better faster? Because we don't know anything about it. And we don't know how long this is going to take. And we cannot cure it. We cannot eliminate it. We can help our body. We can help our body reduce any viral load that still exists. And we can help our body heal if there's damage from it. And if you get sick again from the vaccine, you're not at square one. However, you're having episodes of symptoms again. And so instead of pulling your hair out and feeling despair, do something for yourself. When I've worked with people over the past year in active acute COVID, they have not cured the COVID. They have not eliminated the COVID. And every single one of them has said what I said when I got COVID and did these things. I haven't cured it, I haven't eliminated it, and I am doing absolutely everything I can in a simple way to help my body deal with this. And I will continue to do that for as long as it takes. I am not a person who just goes, there's nothing I can do. I'm so angry. I'm not that kind of a person. And I don't want you to be that kind of a person. So if you have symptoms again from the vaccine, I know it's scary. That's the sympathetic nervous system, the fright. I know you feared the despair. That's the sympathetic nervous system, the freeze. I know you want to crawl out of your body and get into someone else's. That's the flight. And I know you feel angry. That's the fight. That's all sympathetic nervous system. The anxiety, the crankiness, the despair, the anger, the frustration. You are activating and permitting your body, mind, and emotions to activate and live in a sympathetic nervous system which is continuing to exhaust your immune system. You can make change. It's your choice. It's not a quick fix. Now, let me remind all of you, Ebola. Do you remember Ebola? 95% fatality. Remember HIV? 100% fatality. And this is not reducing COVID. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I do not believe that COVID is like the flu. I do not believe that people are dying of other things besides COVID. Those are underlying conditions, but COVID caused their death. It has. If there was no medical care anywhere in the world, and we just let this herd immunity rip through our communities, the chances are COVID fatality would be around 15%, 5 to 15%. HIV was 100%, still is today. Ebola, 95% fatality, still is today. There is no vaccine for Ebola. There is no vaccine for HIV. Health departments over time developed more successful treatments. Health departments around the world, as some virologists and vaccine people are saying, haven't spent a lot of time developing treatments for COVID. They've been focusing on vaccinating people. And they know these vaccines don't stop you from getting COVID, nor do they stop you from transmitting it. They just stop you from dying, which is a good goal, or being really, really sick in the hospital. That's a good goal. It's not sufficient to stop people from having symptoms. And so if you get symptoms, you have three choices. Hope the doctors can do something. They're not able to. They cannot treat this yet. Do nothing, which a lot of you are doing. Nothing. Except feeling miserable. Or you can begin to help yourself. So I just want to close today to tell you we are the first generation of long haul COVID people. I believe, firmly believe this, that we have an obligation to begin to self help and refine our individual and collective ability to help our bodies, help our minds, help our emotions, reduce the intensity of these episodes that we have, which can be multiple, decrease the length of them, and increase the space in between when we feel better. We cannot go forward feeling every time we feel unwell that we get into a panic that we are going to die of COVID. It's not appropriate, and it is indicative that we still have an overreactive autoimmune system because we then easily trigger the fright, flight, fight, and freeze. Please consider what I'm saying. We've posted what the Trust has put out. We have not branded this. You can share this with anyone you want, and please do. I believe that we are obligated by our uniqueness to step up to the plate and do much, much more for ourselves and let our friends and family know about it and our healthcare providers. They want to know if there are things that can help others. So we have to tell them, even if they don't credit us, even if they don't fully believe us, even if they seem to yawn and say, I don't care, you are planting seeds and seeds grow. Thank you for listening today.